Australia, land of the Aussies, known to the indigenous as Australia, or the land down under. Not that one. That's more like it. The largest island and smallest continent in the world, home to over 25 million people and millions of unique fauna and animal species, all out to kill you. Whether by bite, sting, kick, or punch, they'll find a way. Australia is a beautiful country, well worth your visit, and in this video we will go through the highest points in every Australian state, internal and external territory, with one exception. Some of you may be wondering, is this a blatant copy of Chicago Geographer's Highest Point series? Yes. We start out our list with a whopping 1.5 meters of a high point, located somewhere on Cato Island in the Coral Sea Islands territory. The Coral Sea Islands territory is sparsely populated, located off the east coast of Queensland near the Great Barrier Reef. Cato Island is located on the southern half of the territory. The actual height of the high point appears to be disputed, but all sources pointed to Cato Island containing the highest point of the territory. Moving to the uninhabited territory of Ashmore and Cartier Islands, we have a high point of 5 meters, located somewhere on Cartier Island. Next up on our list is the Australian territory of Cocos Islands, also known as Keeling Islands. Cocos Islands is located in the Indian Ocean, south of the Indonesian island of Sumatra, and the highest point is located somewhere on the South Island, which is uninhabited. The highest point appears to be disputed, with some sources claiming the highest point is 5 meters, while other sources claiming 9. Moving to the mainland, and sticking with our streak of disputed high points, we have Jervis Bay Territory. The highest point on Jervis Bay Territory is either Buer, with a height of 155 meters, or 170 meters, located on the southern portion of the bay, or Cape St. George, with a height of 164 meters, and the location of a former lighthouse. This territory exists for the Australian Capital Territory to have access to the ocean and act as a satellite for the federal government. Moving to our first clearly established high point on this list, we have Mount Bates, located on Norfolk Island with a height of 319 meters. For our freedom-loving Americans, that's the first high point to pass 1,000 feet. Mount Bates is located smack dab in the middle of Norfolk Island National Park, and there are many very clear trails leading you to the peak. Coming in at number 10 is Christmas Island's Murray Hill, at a height of 361 meters, though other sources state the height to be 357 meters. Santa does not live here, but Christmas Island is home to thousands of red crabs. The red crab population far exceeds the human population, that the island built pedestrian crosswalks just for crabs. I was unable to find the exact location of Murray Hill, but it is located on the southwestern part of the island. Our first Australian state to appear on this list, we have Western Australia, with the highest point being Mount Meharry, with a height of 1,253 meters, 4,111 feet, or, for our Canadian viewers, 6,689 bottles of maple syrup. Located in the northwestern part of Western Australia, near the Great Northern Freeway, high pointers can drive up to the peak of Meharry. However, cars with four-wheel drive are required due to the steep terrain. On top is a sign indicating you are in fact at the highest point of Western Australia, and there's also a brick-built monument. Heading east, we move to South Australia, with Mount Woodroffe being the point of highest elevation, at 1,435 meters. Mount Woodroffe is located near the border with the Northern Territory in the Musgrave Range. The mountain is also known as a word I cannot pronounce, which is located in the lands of a tribe I cannot pronounce, or APY, which is Aboriginal lands. This means that permits are required to enter the lands and therefore hike the mountain. There are no trails to the peak of Mount Woodruff, making the height slightly more difficult. Moving north to the Northern Territory, we have our 7th highest high point of Mount Zeal, with an elevation of 1,531 meters. It is the highest peak west of the Great Dividing Range. The landscape from Mount Zeal is very stunning, but is also extremely remote, as is the rest of the territory. Heading east once more, we move to Queensland, with the highest point being Mount Bartle-Frere at a height of 1,611 meters. The mountain is located in the Wooroo-Nooran National Park, what a name, at about an hour south of Cairns. The mountain is covered in rainforest and there are trail markers to the summit, but the climb is difficult and weather is very unpredictable. The best time of year to attempt the climb is in the dry season, from April to October. Crossing the ocean to the island state of Tasmania, the 5th highest high point on this list is Mount Osa, with a high point of 1,614 meters. Not to be confused with the Greek Mount Osa. Mount Osa is probably the most unique looking of the Australian high points, with a very jagged, dolerite-covered peak. There is a trail known as the Overland Track, starting from the east of Mount Osa, and can be used to help climb the peak, though the climb can be dangerous in the winter due to freezing temperatures and powerful winds. Heading to the political center of Australia, we head to the Australian Capital Territory, the Australian equivalent to DC, with a high point reaching 1,913 meters on Mount Bimberi. Mount Bimberi is located on the border of the ACT and New South Wales, located in the Kosciuszko National Park and Namadgi National Park. The climb is relatively easy and no special skills are required, with bush trails heading to the summit. The peak is above the tree line, giving a good view of the surrounding area, as well as allowing strong winds to blow across the summit. Moving to the home state of Melbourne, the state of Victoria contains the 3rd highest peak in Australia, Mount Bagong, which stands at an elevation of 1,986 meters. Mount Bagong is located in the Alpine National Park in the northeastern part of Victoria. It is a popular skiing destination and there are many trails to the summit, though the steps can be steep and hiking may be somewhat difficult. Finally, we head to the most populous state in Australia, New South Wales, with the most commonly identified highest point in Australia, that of course being Mount Kosciuszko, standing at a height of 2,280 meters, finally breaking the 2,000 meter barrier. Mount Kosciuszko is well known and is located near the southern border with Victoria. Before 1977, there was a road leading to the very top of the mountain, but that was closed for environmental reasons. There is a year-round chairlift bringing hikers a significant amount of the way, and there's a mesh walkway leading to the summit, with the mesh being there to prevent soil erosion and protect the vegetation. Mount Kosciuszko is also a popular cross-country skiing destination. Now some of you may be wondering, I thought Mount Kosciuszko was the tallest mountain in Australia. It is the tallest mountain on the Australian continent, but there is one mountain under the Australian governance that surpasses Mount Kosciuszko. That of course is Mawson Peak on Heard Island of the Heard Island and McDonald Island territory. Technically speaking, the tallest peak of all the Australian claims is in Antarctica, but as many countries have overlapping claims in Antarctica, it is basically a free-for-all continent, and I decided not to include it on this list. Mawson Peak is an active volcanic summit with an elevation of 2,745 meters, with a prominence of the same height. The volcano has erupted recently in both 2013 and 2016. By far the most difficult peak to climb, if attempting all Australian peaks, due to both the isolation the temperature, steepness, and of course, molten hot lava. With that, I would recommend only attempting all the Australian states and internal territories' high points instead, saving the headache of traveling to islands in the middle of nowhere. I hope you enjoyed this video and have learned something new today. Thank you very much for watching, and please consider liking and subscribing for future high point and geography related videos. Also be sure to check out Chicago Geographer's High Point series, as they are much better than mine, and I will not cover any country or continent he has already covered. Lastly, check out my first channel, RenzStudios, where I listen to and rank Monstercat and other EDM songs. With that, thank you very much for watching, and have a blessed day.